Welcome to the RV Game Changer Show with Uncle Bernie. Brought to you by Campers in RV, the RVers trusted resource. If you're interested in RVs as a consumer, service provider, or as a manufacturer of RVs, this show is for you. Here we talk to RV experts, RV manufacturers, lifestyle influencers, service providers, charitable organizations, and component providers with a sole purpose to make RVing more fun and exciting and easier for you and your family. Please subscribe to RV Game Changer with Uncle Bernie on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. Of course, find us by searching at RV Game Changer on YouTube. Let's see what we can do to make your life better this week on RV Game Changer. Hey everybody, welcome to RV Game Changer. My name is Uncle Bernie, and today we have the privilege of spending time with Lesa McDermitt, Vice President, podcaster, and blog poster for Girl Camper. Lesa, welcome to the RV Game Changer Show.
Thank you, Uncle Bernie. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, thank you so much. It is really exciting to have you, of course. And can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I am the Vice President of Girl Camper. Girl Camper is the largest women's camping organization in the country. And
Yay.
I am an avid camper, and I live by the principles of Girl Camper that there is no wrong way to camp like a girl. I camp in a variety of different types of RVs. I'm a tent camper, I'm a hammock camper, I'm a car camper, and sometimes you may even find me in a cabin. And I'm also a backpacker. So I love all things camping. I truly do.
So when my friends tell me I camp like a girl, I should take that as a compliment.
Yes, you should.
Absolutely. All right. So tell us a little bit about your duties as Vice President with Girl Camper.
Sure. So like Janine likes to say, I am the one that crosses the T's and dots the I's, and I think that's pretty accurate. I oversee all the operations of Girl Camper. I manage the Girl Camper online store. I write for our Girl Camper magazine and one of the editors of it. I'm also the co-host of the weekly Girl Camper podcast, and I oversee all of our Girl Camper guides who are very busy planning over 200 Girl Camper events for just 2025. And I also like to host my own events once in a while when I can find the time. Last year, I took 22 women down the Green River in Utah for a week, and we whitewater rafted and camped out underneath the stars, and that was fabulous. This year, I'm excited. I am taking 12 women, the youngest one being 46, with multiple women in their 70s. We are going to go backpacking 125 miles on the Centennial Trail here in the Black Hills of South Dakota where I live, and we are doing a through hike. So that means everyone's carries their own tents, they carry their own food, they carry their own water. So it's going to be quite an experience. We'll be doing that for 10 days. And then next year, I'm hoping to take 22 women to Peru, and we're going to experience Machu Picchu.
Wow, that is quite a robust group of ladies that you're spending time with there. That's amazing.
It is.
Wow.
I like to say that when I host an event, you're probably going to get a little dirty.
And a little tired, I imagine, too. Yeah. But I'm sure you make sure that everyone's in good enough, condition to be able to handle quite an event like that.
We definitely hope so.
Right.
We definitely hope so. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit. Let's wind back the clock a little bit and talk about how Girl Camper got started and what it's all about.
Sure. Girl Camper actually started 10 years ago. Our founder, Janine Pettit, she started off with kind of a basic blog, and then that evolved quickly into a really good podcast. And when Janine created the Girl Camper podcast, there weren't a lot of other podcasts out there, especially any that focused on camping and women camping and providing a safe space for questions or education. And that was a big thing to her, is that she found that women had a lot of questions. They wanted to go camping. They wanted to do these things, but they had never done it before. Maybe they'd never done it without their spouse. And how could they go do this on their own? And that is kind of the birth of Girl Camper, was that she started this podcast that had a wonderful information on it, how to pick out the right camper for you, campground reviews, just a lot of different things. And that's how Girl Camper started. And then around 2022, she and her business partner, Di McNamara, decided that maybe they should start a Grow Camper magazine. So
Oh, wow.
at the time, the podcast was put on hold, and they launched the very successful Grow Camper magazine. And they also launched having Grow Camper guides, because they were getting feedback. Janine was getting feedback that, listen, you're giving us all these tools to go out and camp, but you're not giving us the opportunities to go out and camp. And she's like, you know what? You're right. So let's bring on Grow Camper guides who are going to host events across the United States, and then also help be resources for women on a more local level to get them comfortable and teach them camping. And that's how I got started with Grow Camper. Is I was the original South Dakota guide. And
Wow.
yeah, that's how I started. And then now we have a new Grow Camper guide in South Dakota, Anita Keeley, and she's hosting wonderful events, but I have moved up into it, and now the guides answer to me, and I get to oversee all their wonderful events, and I'm the vice president of Grow Camper. So,
Oh my goodness. What an amazing story. Now, the one thing that I didn't hear out of all that, I've just shown up some of these guides, and we'll get more into that in a little bit, but you didn't give us the why. Like, I know that, she has this mission, or the Grow Campers itself has the mission to, to help women go places and do things. But what was Janine's and maybe Diane's, I don't know how early they met on this whole project here, what was their reason behind starting this whole organization?
It was to give women a comfortable environment to get out and experience camping and nature, and to have a community that would be built. We've found that really our demographics are women over the age of 40. And a lot of times when you start hitting that age, you're finding yourself an empty nester. Your kids are grown and gone. You might find yourself divorced. You might find yourself widowed, or you just might find that, your interests have changed a little bit. You want to experience new things. And it's harder as we get older to make friends. It really is. And to make those big connections, especially when our kids are gone. We don't have that going to the sports or the band concerts and stuff and meeting other parents. So this was a great way to give women the opportunity to meet other women that had similar interests, or to explore. Maybe am I an outdoors person? I don't know. I've never done it before, but it sure looks fun what they're out there doing. I think I'd like to give it a try. And that was a big push, was let's create this safe community, this safe environment that's fun, and women can come be a part of it. And we're very strict on no mean girls. If you're mean, there's other women organizations. Go join those. Don't
Right. So that makes a lot of sense. For people that may be kind of concerned about, whether or not, like you say, whether they would enjoy it or whether it'd be suited for it. But when you have a bunch of people around you, a support system, so to speak, it makes it so much easier, right? Because it's like they don't let you fall. They, have the, they'll catch you if you start to fall, right? And they're going to help you through this whole thing.
Exactly.
Tell us a little bit more about these guides. I mean, they're all over the country. How many guides does Grow Camper have right now?
We have around 20 guides, and the guides are little micro businesses. So they have a certain territory that they are in charge of, and then they are able to host events in those areas. So we'll take Lori Dowdy there. She is the guide for Arizona, and so she oversees hosting events in Arizona. But we also have co-hostesses. So if there's a state that doesn't have a guide, and somebody or even if there is a state that does have a guide, and there's someone out there that says, you know what, I'd really like to host a Grow Camper event, they can do that. They start by contacting either the state guide, if there is one, or they reach out to Risa Leopard, who is our event manager, and she will help guide them to set up an event. All of the events need to go through our Grow Camper website, because we do have insurance that covers anything that might happen, at an event that is not, by any, the accidents happen.
They do. When you're camping, you can trip or whatever it may be. Yep.
Right. So we do, all of our hostesses and our guides, they are covered by our insurance for accidents like that. And so we do require that all the events be listed on our website. And that also gives us the ability to make sure that our events are, they're what we envision them to be. You know, there has to be certain parameters around them. It can't be just some big drunk fest. While we all enjoy a nice glass of wine at the campground.
Right.
Yeah.
There's got to be some kind of decorum, correct?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And most of our events,
I see here on your events page, you have stuff like every month. So you got March 20th, which is this weekend, and then the 21st to the 23rd. And these are all different areas, right? This is amazing how many events are scheduled. I mean, folks, I'm just into April, just starting April now. There's 2 events that first weekend, 3 events, and then we get into the second weekend. And then it's just page upon page upon page of these events. And this is absolutely outstanding. Now, how many women are in Girl Camper right now? When you total them all up.
We have over 9,000 paid and active members in our group, which makes us the largest women's camping group out there. The next largest one that we know of has under 7,000. So yeah, we are the largest women's camping group out there. We host over 200 events a year, and new events are being uploaded all the time by our guides. And I need to point out too, an event can be something, it might just be a lunch, especially in the wintertime. We see a lot of, we call them seeds of friendship lunches. Yeah. And it's just getting women together, getting them out of the house, and just having a nice lunch. But then our events can be, you know, a 3-4 day camping experience, or it can be, like I said, come to Peru with me next year and have a total Peruvian immersion.
That's incredible. Now, you know, you can be on the website, you can sign up for these events, and, you know, some women may be concerned about safety, and it's a really good point. What does Girl Camper do to kind of take care of that, you know, safety issue among women?
Right. So we do need to keep our costs down. So it's not, we can't do like a full blown background check of everybody that does join, but we do want to ensure that you are a real person and that you match up with something. So what we have you do, it's a one-time $10 fee, and that's good for the life of Girl Camper. And that is going to give you access to all of our events. So like Bernie, when you were looking through our events, you noticed that it didn't say exactly where they were. They just had a date. And if you had clicked on one of the events, it would basically say, sorry, you are not a member because you are a guy. We would not allow you to be in.
Okay, I'm clicking on one right now. Let's see what's going on here.
All right. Yeah. Well, yeah, you should click on one.
It goes to another page, but to access this content, you must register and be approved. All right. If you're already approved, you know, click here or whatever. So they give me the boot right away.
Yeah. So we do kind of, you know, we do protect the information of the events because we want you to be what we call a vetted member. And the vetting process is very easy. Like I said, it's a one-time $10 fee. And we ask that you upload maybe a copy of your driver's license, or we just need to make sure that maybe the name on the credit card that you used also matches the name that you registered with. And again, it's to make sure that you are a real person, and also that, you know, you're not a guy.
Yeah. So that brings up a point now, because I've talked to Janine in the past. She goes, well, you know, sometimes are guys allowed at all to any of these events? Like, no, just all women. Okay.
Not true.
Okay. Well, tell me all about it.
So it's up to our guides. Like I did host an event a few years ago to Moab, and the spouses were invited. So my husband did come. So there are occasionally, we do have events. In 2027, I'm going to be hosting a couples hike, so to say, to Kilimanjaro. And that'll be through Girl Camper. Yeah. I say you get a little dirty.
You guys are going all out. Wow.
Yeah, I am, yeah. But that's not to say on those events, if you don't have a spouse or you don't want to bring your spouse, you can still sign up for those events. But occasionally we do have events where spouses or kids are allowed to come. But those would be up to the event hostess. And then usually that event is geared around, the activities will be geared around having the kids there or having your spouse there and doing different things. But primarily all of our events are women only, because we find that when you have your spouse there, it changes things. You're more concerned, like, is he okay back in the campground, or, you know, in the camper? I need to go back and check on him. And you're not fully present with the other women. So you're not maybe having as much fun as we want you to. But along that lines too, we want you to know that if you come and maybe you've never backed a trailer in before, we got you. You know, we can help you with that. There's usually someone there that's more than willing to say, you know what, let me show you how to do this. Let me do it for you. We're very, very supportive in that way of helping other women. I mean, I was never born knowing how to back up a trailer. It took me some time to learn how to do it. And now I'm pretty dang good.
Yeah, that's fantastic. But, you know, it's also a great sense of community when you know you can trust the people that you're camping with, right? You're all there, and you've always all been there. You've all been in that situation where you need some help setting up your camper or backing it in, or, you know, just, you know, doing, how do you run the propane systems or whatever it may be, right? There's a lot to it. And it's good to have a support system there with you. And it's good that these guides are also there and they know who in that group is going to be able to help you. So that is just spectacular. You know, I see that you're quite a podcaster as well. So I'm going to put you on the spot and pull up some of these podcasts. What are some of your favorite topics to discuss in these podcasts?
My favorite ones are always when we do our favorite things. When Janine would do those in the past, and she would talk about what were some of her favorite things that she needed for camping, I would literally sit there with a piece of paper and a pen and be like, ooh, I never knew about that thing. I didn't know I needed it. So now to be a part about that, talking about, you know, what are my favorite things that I need for camping? I love doing those gear reviews. Anytime too that we have a camping hack that can be on the educational side of it, I love doing that. You know, we did a series with Go Power talking about solar and lithium. And I think those are, I like doing those. I'm very gear orientated and tech orientated. And so those are my favorite ones to do.
All right. So you're definitely into the tech or the nuts and bolts of it, as I like to say, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, it's really important to kind of have a feel for those things and pay attention to that. And if you were to give a recommendation to any woman who is buying an RV about the technical aspects of it, what would you give for a recommendation?
The first thing is to know what your tow limit is. You know, do you plan to use the current vehicle that you have to tow a camper? And if you do, then what is that tow limit? And then also reverse engineer that, because just because your car can tow 5,000 pounds does not mean that you want to go out and buy a camper that's 5,000 pounds. You got to factor in, what is all my stuff going to weigh that I'm going to put into it? What if my tanks are full of water? What is all that? And then what is the safety margin in there? We like to say that you want to get a camper that when you have all your stuff in it, you still have you don't want to exceed that 85% of that tow capacity.
Okay.
You know, so
it'd be at least 150 pounds in that case, but maybe even a few hundred pounds in a 5,000 pound vehicle. But I totally get where you're coming from, because as you get closer to that tow capacity, you know, the vehicle doesn't perform as well, right?
Exactly. I live in the mountains and we see that all the time. In fact, I was towing with a Jeep that had a 3,500 tow capacity, and I was towing a small R-Pod. And I thought that I was, you know, had a nice cushion of range. And I was very surprised when I took it to a CAT scale and found out that my camper loaded with my stuff, which wasn't a ton of stuff either. It's amazing how that's, you know, things can just add up. My tow capacity was 3,450 pounds is what was what my camper weighed. And I was towing that with my 3,500, you know, tow capacity Jeep. Well, I ended up burning the differential up in my Jeep, because going through the mountains, doing long distance, all of that, it was too hard on it. Couldn't do it. So it's really important to know what you've got and to make sure that your vehicle is very capable of whatever it is, and then buy accordingly. And if you're, if you absolutely need to have that bigger camper, or you got that camper that you love, but your tow vehicle isn't capable of it, all right, well then start researching what vehicles out there are capable of towing safely what you want to tow.
So that's the blogs. Let's talk a little bit about the magazine.
Yes.
Girl Camper Magazine has been around, like you said, since 2022.
2020.
2020. Okay, yep. 2020. Thanks for correction. And Diane and Janine set that up. What an amazing articles in there. I've actually subscribed to it myself because I love the articles. They're so practical and straightforward. I was giving the magazines to my customers. It was amazing. Tell us what your thoughts are, what the Girl Camper Magazine is there to accomplish.
So again, it's kind of a lifestyle magazine. So we would like to think we have really good articles on there on cooking, on places to see in America that may intrigue you. We call those features the America the Beautiful. We have campground reviews. We have some fun DIYs, things like that. And then we have good articles like on wellness, on our camp doctor. Patricia Ellison will give you, I know the one that's coming up in the spring issue is, why is your annual physical important? We always have a RV maintenance feature from Mark Polk. And then Mark's wife, Dawn, always does something on camping with pets. So a lot of good tips and tricks and things like that. Tony Barthel from Stressless Camping does camper reviews. Then you'll see things we do a Factory to Fabulous article. So you got your brand new camper from Jayco, and how do you make it look even better? That type of stuff. Or why did this girl camper pick the unit that she did? A lot of good stuff on that, but our spring issue is in the mail right now. And that is actually our 20th issue. This is the Girl Camper Magazine is a quarterly magazine. It was print. I'm excited to announce today. We have made the decision that the spring issue that is in the mail today is actually our last print issue. Going forward, the Girl Camper Magazine is going to be 100% digital. And there's a lot of reasons for that, and we're excited about it. One is it lines up with our wanting to be green. If you come to one of our events, we're going to be like, this is a green event. Bring your own silverware and napkins and plates and all of that. We try not to do disposable. Plus, what's really exciting about the digital part is that we're going to be able to offer more interactive content. So say we do a review on one of an e-bike by Buzz. Love Buzz e-bikes. And we do a nice little paper, nice review post in the magazine. But now we're going to be able to hyperlink to videos of it, actually showing you that bike in action, showing you different things that you can do. And those things are super excited. Or cooking. Here's the recipe, but here's a video on how to actually make whatever it is that we're featuring. So we are really excited about that.
Well, that's good, because that brings up the next topic, which is my stomach. As you look on the articles, there's a whole section on cooking. And one of the favorite things in the whole world is the monkey bread, right?
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah. Just amazing. And then, how to dehydrate food in your oven, your camp oven, or cooking on a fire. They show that. And I mean, this is amazing stuff. And, what are some of the favorite recipes that you like when you're out there at the campground?
That is a loaded question, Uncle Bernie, because I do not like to cook.
You don't like to cook?
I don't like to cook.
You like to eat, though, right?
I like to eat. So whatever Mary Lou McGurr or Linda Hogan, who I camp with a lot, happens to be cooking, I love.
That's really nice. So maybe you supply some of the labor or whatever it is, cleaning up or setting up or whatever it may be. But yeah, so cooking isn't your thing. But you mentioned earlier that you're going to be hiking with these women that average age somewhere like 60-ish or whatever, between 55 and 70 something. So is there any kind of preconceived requirements that need to happen on some kind of sign up for an event like that?
Not really. We do try to make it really clear to the group. We've been doing some Zoom meetings together with everybody that something like this is, make sure you are in shape, and that while this is a group event, we are not hiking as a group because everybody can have their own pace. So It's going to be up to you to get yourself, to the campground each night. But I'm fortunate too that we're doing it here in basically kind of my backyard, so that if someone decides this isn't for them, they're tired or they get injured, my husband or one of the other ladies' husbands have offered, listen, we can come pick somebody up at one of the trailheads. So that is a good thing. And again, that makes that environment safe and exposed for more women to feel comfortable doing that. And that's why a lot of these women have reached out to me and said, I'm so excited you're doing this. I have always wanted to do it, but I didn't want to do it by myself.
That is fantastic. And you mentioned earlier as well that you're planning events out in 2027. Now, how far do these events go out? Like, you must really spend time planning.
It depends on the events. So we are working on a lot of 2026 events right now that are international focused. We've teamed up with a really cool company called 𝒂𝒊𝒂𝒃𝒍𝒂𝒊𝒍 that is making international travel super easy for our guides. And so they are booking, you're going to see a lot of trips, I think, start posted that way. And international trips are different. It's not something that we've done them in the past, but certainly not to the degree that I think you're going to see. And again, it's fun. It's a fun way to go explore another country and culture in a different way with a group of like-minded women. And some of them, I think, like one of our guides is looking this year at doing a trip to Hawaii, and they're actually camping. They're camping in Hawaii. I know. I'm excited to hear more about that when she gets that listed.
That sounds fascinating. I'm sure it's going to be a blast. Of course, it seems like the people that become girl campers are just fun-loving people to begin with, right? They're looking to have a wonderful experience. So there's probably pretty smooth sailing. And I'm sure you run into challenges. It starts raining in the middle of a dinner event or whatever it may be. But that's some of the most memorable parts of it, right? Where you had to kind of come together and solve a problem on the fly, and you had to learn something. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, and I think that's part of being a camper is you've got to be able to go with the flow, because something always happens. I don't care how prepared you might be, something seems to always happen. And you got to be able to go with the flow with camping. And that's what's fun with this group is there is always some way to get past a hurdle. And when you've got other girlfriends to be able to figure that out, it makes it even better.
Yeah, I'm sure it turns on the old creative juices on a regular basis. So can you tell us a little bit about how more people like you, like all the girl campers and the guides out there, can find Girl Camper and become part of this great organization?
You bet. So easiest place is our website, girlcamper.com. But like you also mentioned, we have a weekly podcast, same name, Girl Camper.
All right. All the favorite podcasting, groups like Spotify and iTunes and all that stuff.
Yep. We've got a YouTube channel where our podcast is not only audio, but it's also visual. So you can find us on the Girl Camper YouTube channel. And that YouTube channel is something this year we're making a big push of making really good quality videos on it that are going to have a big focus of different things. One of our guides is renovating a very older, I think it's a scamper, a casita. It's one of the eggshell campers. And she's gutting it and restoring it. And that's been really fun to watch. So she's doing a whole video series on that. But you're going to find a lot more content showing up on our YouTube channel this year. We are all over social media, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. We've got our main Girl Camper Facebook group and page, but then each one of our states also has a group and page. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, we are looking
at that up, right? If it's in your region, look up states in your area and see if they have a Girl Camper chapter.
Yeah. And the best way to do that is go on our website. We've got a handy dandy map of the United States. You can click on one of the states there, and it'll show what chapters we have there, and then also how to find the social media for them also. But you can do a search on social media too, and you'll find us. We're not hard to find. And you can always shoot our gals in the office an email at contact@growcamper.com, and they'll get y'all hooked up.
That is just fascinating. Lesa, thank you for being on RV Game Changer today. It's obvious that all you girl campers are game changers in the RV or camping business. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a nice day.
And if you want to find the latest episode of RV Game Changer, make sure you go to rvtoday.tv, where you find our latest episode along with a lot of great information, tips and tricks, and videos of RVing Today TV. If you want to get a hold of me, go to RV Game Changer on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, and make sure to subscribe. Have a wonderful week, and God bless.